My friends, every great destiny begins in the invisible space of the mind. Long before a building stands, there is a blueprint. Long before a song is sung, there is a melody in the heart. And long before a man or woman becomes great, there is focus, unyielding, disciplined focus. You see, the law of focus is simple, but profound. Whatever captures your attention will shape your future. The tragedy for many is not a lack of potential, but a lack of focus. We are distracted by noise, by comparison, by the urgency of the moment, while our true calling waits silently for us to see it. Consider the farmer. He does not scatter seeds everywhere and expects a harvest. No, he clears a plot, tills the soil, and plants intentionally. And because of his focus, the earth responds with abundance. Life works the same way. If you want growth, if you want success, if you want transformation, you must choose where to plant your mind. History is filled with ordinary people who changed the world through extraordinary focus. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before the light bulb. Why? Because his focus was brighter than his failures. Rosa Parks was a seamstress unknown to the world, but one day her focus on dignity outweighed her fear of consequence, and a movement was born. Focus does not ignore challenges. Focus looks at obstacles and says, "You may slow me down, but you will not stop me." When you focus, your energy becomes like a laser, cutting through doubt, through fear, through delay. But here is the secret: focus is not automatic. It must be trained. You must decide what matters and guard it. Wake up each morning and remind your mind where it belongs. Surround yourself with voices that fuel your vision, not those that drain it. Eliminate the distractions that rob you of destiny. For what you magnify with your focus, you will multiply in your life. My friends, the future is not waiting to be discovered. It is waiting to be created. And it will be created by those who are focused, disciplined, and courageous enough to see beyond what is into what can be. So I ask you today, what do you see? Not with your eyes, but with your vision. What dream are you willing to focus on until it becomes reality? Do not despise small beginnings. Do not be discouraged by delay. For every step you take in focus is a seed in the ground of your future. And when the time is right, your harvest will come. I leave you with this truth. Your destiny is not determined by chance, but by choice. And the greatest choice you can make is to fix your focus on what you desire, pursue it with discipline, and never let go. Stay focused. My friends, because the world is waiting for the greatness that only you can bring. My friends, let me share with you a truth that is as old as time itself. Whatever captures your attention will shape your future. Think about it for a moment. Every success story, every innovation, every transformation began not with resources, not with connections, not even with talent, but with focus, undivided attention on one vision. The human mind is the most powerful tool on earth. It has built nations, discovered cures, painted masterpieces, and sent men to the moon. Yet, this same mind can also destroy opportunities, waste years, and bury potential when it is distracted. That's why what you give your attention to is not a small matter. It is the architect of your destiny. Consider this: a young boy in a poor neighborhood with no shoes to wear, no money in his pocket, and no name recognized beyond his street. He could have spent his days complaining, blaming his environment, focusing on what he lacked. But instead, he chose to focus his attention on a dream, on the idea that one day he could rise, one day he could learn, one day he could build something greater than his circumstances. That child becomes a leader, an innovator, a voice for his generation. Why? Because his future followed his focus. The truth is, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. What dominates your attention will dominate your tomorrow. If you constantly focus on fear, you will live in hesitation. If you constantly focus on problems, you will live in frustration. But if you focus on possibilities, you will live in expectation. If you focus on solutions, you will create progress. The greatest danger of our age is distraction. We live in a world where our attention is being fought for every second by screens, by notifications, by the opinions of others. And many people don't even realize they've traded their future for distraction. They've given their focus to entertainment, to comparison, to negativity, instead of vision, purpose, and growth. Whatever has your attention has your future. Let me give you an example. A farmer does not expect a harvest from a field he never planted. He doesn't look at barren soil and hope for fruit. No, he plants intentionally, waters carefully, and protects his crops diligently. He knows that if he focuses his attention on that ground, in time, it will produce. In the same way, your mind is a field. What are you planting in it daily? Because whatever seed you focus on, that is the fruit you will eat tomorrow. Look at the lives of extraordinary people, scientists, leaders, inventors, reformers. What set them apart? Was it luck? Was it a privilege? No, it was focused. They saw something so clearly in their minds that the world could not convince them otherwise. They gave their energy, their time, their very lives to the vision that captured their attention. Take Thomas Edison. Thousands of failures, thousands of setbacks. Yet his attention was fixed on one question: how do I create light? He did not allow distractions or discouragement to pull his attention away. And today, we live in the brightness of his focus. Or consider Rosa Parks, a seamstress ordinary by society's standards, but her focus on dignity and justice outweighed her fear of consequence. One decision, one refusal, because her attention was fixed on what was right, sparked a movement that reshaped history. Do you see it, my friends? The principle is clear. Your life bends toward whatever captures your attention. That means your job is not just to dream, not just to hope, but to discipline your focus. You must ask yourself, what has been capturing my attention? Have I been consumed by the past, replaying mistakes that I cannot change? Have I been distracted by comparison, measuring myself against others instead of measuring myself against my potential? Have I been feeding my mind with things that entertain but do not elevate me? The law of focus demands intentionality. You cannot allow your mind to wander aimlessly. You must take responsibility for what you give your attention to. Just as a captain steers a ship through storms by keeping his eyes on the horizon, you must steer your life by keeping your focus on your vision. Wake up each day with clarity. Remind yourself of the future you want. Speak it, write it, see it. Surround yourself with voices, books, environments that align with where you want to go. Eliminate distractions that rob you of your energy. Protect your attention as if your destiny depends on it, because it does. And remember, attention is like currency. Whatever you spend it on, you buy into. Spend it on fear and you purchase regret. Spend it on doubt and you purchase hesitation. But spend it on growth, on learning, on vision, and you purchase the future you desire. My friends, hear me clearly today. Greatness does not begin with greatness. Extraordinary men and women are not born extraordinary. They begin ordinary, just like you, just like me. What transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary is not luck, not privilege, not even raw talent, but disciplined focus. You see, potential alone is never enough. The world is filled with people who had talent but wasted it, people who had opportunities but missed them, people who had dreams but never gave them the attention they deserved. What separates those who rise from those who remain is not what they start with, but how they focus. Discipline is the bridge between what you imagine and what you achieve. Think of the sculptor with a block of marble. To the ordinary eye, it looks like nothing more than stone. But to the sculptor's eye, there is a masterpiece hidden inside. With discipline, with focus, he chips away piece by piece, day by day, until the extraordinary is revealed. Life works the same way. The extraordinary version of you is hidden inside the ordinary, waiting for disciplined focus to bring it forth. Consider the life of Abraham Lincoln. He was not born into privilege. He faced failure after failure, defeat after defeat. He lost elections, faced bankruptcy, endured heartbreak. By all accounts, he was an ordinary man with no reason to expect greatness. But he refused to give up. He focused his life on the pursuit of justice, on the belief that freedom and unity were worth fighting for. Through disciplined focus, ordinary farm boy became an extraordinary leader who reshaped a nation. Or think of Oprah Winfrey, a young girl born into poverty, enduring hardship and rejection. By the world's standards, her story was already written before she could even write her own name. But she refused to let her circumstances dictate her destiny. She disciplined her focus, harnessed her gift of communication, and poured her energy into her vision. Today, the world knows her not as ordinary, but as extraordinary. My friends, disciplined focus is not glamorous. It is not always exciting. It is not celebrated at the moment. It looks like waking up early when others are still sleeping. It looks like studying when others are wasting time. It looks like practicing when no one is watching, preparing when no one is clapping, believing when no one is supporting. Ordinary people who practice extraordinary focus make choices daily that no one sees until the results speak so loudly that the world cannot ignore them. Discipline is the difference between distraction and destiny. Without discipline, focus becomes scattered. Without focus, potential remains unused. But when you combine discipline and focus, something powerful happens. Your mind sharpens, your actions align, your energy concentrates. You begin to see progress where once there was only frustration. Think of an athlete. Champions are not crowned in the arena, They are crowned in the hidden hours of disciplined training. The medals and the applause are just the visible reward of invisible focus. Every sprint, every push, every repetition is a declaration. I will not waste my potential. Ordinary athletes become extraordinary champions through relentless discipline. And this same principle applies to you. You may feel ordinary right now. You may feel unnoticed, overlooked, or underestimated. But inside you is a seed of greatness. That seed does not grow automatically. It grows through focus, through discipline, through a daily decision to choose your vision over your excuses. Discipline means saying no to distraction. It means protecting your time like treasure. It means keeping your eyes on the future you want, even when the present feels heavy. It means not allowing your emotions to govern your actions, but allowing your vision to govern your life. And focus means giving your attention not to everything, but to the right thing. Many people try to chase too many paths at once and end up with nothing. Extraordinary people choose one vision, one path, and give it everything. They are not necessarily more talented, but they are more focused. They are not necessarily more gifted, but they are more disciplined. Ordinary people become extraordinary when they decide, I will not quit. I will not be distracted. I will not waste my energy on things that do not serve my destiny. I will fix my eyes on the vision within me and pursue it with discipline until it becomes reality. My friends, let me tell you something the world often forgets. Challenges are not the enemy of your destiny. Challenges are the training ground for your destiny. Focus does not pretend that challenges are not real. Focus does not close its eyes to hardship. Focus sees the challenge, acknowledges the mountain, and then decides to climb it anyway. Because true focus does not ignore challenges, it conquers them. Every great achievement in history is a story of men and women who faced difficulties but refused to surrender their attention to fear. They understood that challenges are not signals to stop, they are signals to grow. The size of your challenge is often the measure of the size of your future. If the obstacle is great, it means the future waiting on the other side is even greater. Think of David standing before Goliath, an ordinary shepherd boy with a sling and a stone facing a trained warrior. The entire army saw a giant too big to fight, but David's focus saw a target too big to miss. Where others focused on fear, he focused on victory. That is the power of focus. It turns challenges into opportunities, giants into stepping stones. Consider Thomas Edison, who attempted and failed more than 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. To most people, failure would have been the end. To Edison, every failure was not the end, it was information. His focus on the vision of light was greater than the pain of failure. And so he conquered his challenge not by ignoring it, but by facing it again and again until the challenge bowed to his persistence. Focus is not about denying reality. It is about choosing which reality you will magnify. The problem may be real, but the solution is also real. The obstacle may be in front of you, but so is the strength within you. Focus is the lens that decides what becomes bigger in your mind, the problem or the possibility. Look at history's reformers. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, 27 years confined, cut off from family, cut off from freedom. Many would have broken, many would have surrendered to bitterness. But Mandela's focus was not on the prison walls, it was on the vision of a free South Africa. His body was locked, but his mind was free. And because of his unbroken focus, he emerged not as a victim, but as a leader who changed the destiny of a nation. My friends, the presence of challenges in your life is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that you are moving. A ship that is anchored at the harbor faces no storms, but it also goes nowhere. Only the ship that sets sail toward its purpose encounters the winds and the waves, and only the ship that stays focused on its destination conquers them. Many people are defeated not because their challenge is too big, but because their focus is too small. They magnify the obstacle until it becomes bigger than their vision. But extraordinary people train their focus. They do not deny the obstacle, but they refuse to worship it. They face it, they fight it, they learn from it, and they grow through it. Distraction is the ally of defeat. When you focus on fear, fear grows. When you focus on excuses, excuses multiply. But when you focus on the solution, your creativity expands. When you focus on the goal, your strength increases. The challenge does not shrink, but you grow bigger than the challenge. That is how focus conquers. Consider the stories of inventors, athletes, leaders, even the mothers and fathers who raised families in the face of adversity. Their secret was not that life was easier for them. It was not that doors opened without resistance. Their secret was that their focus was stronger than their opposition. They kept their eyes fixed on the vision, And because of that, every setback became a setup for a greater comeback. Focus makes you resilient. It gives you the strength to keep walking when you want to stop, to keep believing when everything around you says it's impossible. Focus transforms the mountain into a lesson, the storm into a teacher, the struggle into a testimony. Challenges are inevitable, but defeat is optional. The moment you choose to direct your focus on what lies beyond the obstacle loses its power. The fire may burn, but it also refines. The weight may press, but it also builds strength. The delay may frustrate, but it also produces patience. Every challenge is an invitation to grow into the person your destiny requires you to be. My friends, I want you to understand a law that governs every life, whether you are aware of it or not. The law is simple but powerful. What you magnify with your focus, you will multiply in your life. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you choose to place under it grows larger in your sight until it dominates your decisions, your emotions, and ultimately your destiny. If you magnify problems, you will multiply problems. If you magnify fear, you will multiply fear. If you magnify that, you will multiply hesitation. But if you magnify possibilities, you will multiply opportunities. If you magnify gratitude, you will multiply joy. If you magnify vision, you will multiply progress. Life responds to your focus. Just as a garden responds to the seed that is planted and watered, your future responds to the thoughts you feed and magnify. You cannot plant weeds and expect roses. You cannot magnify negativity and expect growth. The principle is unchanging. What you focus on will multiply. Think about the student who constantly says, "I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I can't learn this." He magnifies his limitations. Soon his mind closes, his creativity shrinks, and his results confirm what he magnified. But another student, faced with the same difficulty, says, "This is hard, but I can learn. I may not know yet, but I will keep trying until I understand." That student magnifies the possibility, and over time, that possibility multiplies into success. The difference was not intelligence, it was focus. Consider the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. 12 men were sent to spy on the promised land. 10 came back magnifying giants, magnifying fear, magnifying the obstacles. Their words multiplied discouragement through the entire camp. But 2 men, Joshua and Caleb, magnified the promise of God, magnified opportunity, magnified victory. They saw the same land, the same giants, the same challenges, but they magnified a different reality. The 10 who magnified fear never entered the promise. The 2 who magnified faith multiplied into leadership and legacy. This is the principle at work. Your focus is a lens. What you choose to enlarge will grow. The challenge is that many people magnify the wrong things. They spend hours replaying failures in their minds, feeding fear with every thought. They give more attention to critics than to their calling, more attention to pain than to purpose. And then they wonder why their lives multiply stress, multiply bitterness, multiply regret. Focus is like fire. Left uncontrolled, it can destroy, but directed with discipline, it can build. Whatever you feed with your attention expands. If you keep talking about what you cannot do, soon you will multiply excuses. If you keep meditating on what could go wrong, you will multiply anxiety. But if you speak of what is possible, if you fix your thoughts on solutions, if you meditate on your vision, you will multiply strength, multiply hope, multiply action. Think of a camera. A camera does not capture everything at once. It focuses on one subject, and what it focuses on becomes clear while everything else fades into the background. Your mind works the same way. You cannot control everything in life, but you can control what you focus on. And what you focus on will become clearer, sharper, and more dominant in your life. Let me remind you of people who mastered this principle. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, could have magnified her limitations. She could have focused on everything she could not do. But instead, she magnified learning, she magnified purpose, she magnified possibility. And her focus multiplied into a life that inspired millions across the world. Or think of the Wright brothers. They could have magnified the ridicule of people who laughed at the idea of human flight. They could have magnified the countless failures of their experiments. But instead, they magnified their dream, their vision of a flying machine. What they magnified multiplied until the impossible became possible. And today, the world flies because of their focus. My friends, the question is not whether you are magnifying something. The question is, what are you magnifying? Every day you are feeding your focus with thoughts, conversations, and choices. Every day you are enlarging something in your life. If you enlarge fear, fear will multiply. If you enlarge vision, vision will multiply. If you enlarge negativity, negativity will multiply. If you enlarge faith, faith will multiply. That is why you must be intentional about your focus. Guard your thoughts like treasure. Speak words that align with your destiny. Surround yourself with people who magnify hope, not fear, solutions, not problems. Because your environment feeds your focus, and your focus multiplies into your future. My friends, destiny is not a lottery ticket. It is not something you stumble into by accident. It is not reserved for a select few while the rest of us wait for luck to knock on our door. Destiny is not determined by chance, but by choice. Every day, every decision, every action is shaping the direction of your life. You are not a victim of fate. You are the architect of your future. From the beginning of time, human beings have been given the power of choice. Choice is what separates us from every other creature. Animals live by instinct, but man lives by decisions. That is why the path of your life is not written by luck or coincidence. It is written by the choices you make. Think of a farmer once again. He does not stand in his field in hopes that somehow the wind will blow seeds into the ground and rain will fall by accident. No, he makes choices. He chooses the seed. He chooses the soil. He chooses the time to plant. He chooses the work of his hands. And because of his choices, he reaps a harvest. Life is the same. You cannot reap success by chance. You cannot reap growth by chance. You reap according to the choices you sow. Consider the story of Ruth in the scriptures. She was a widow with every reason to believe her life had ended in tragedy. But she made a choice, a simple, powerful choice, to remain faithful, to move forward, stay connected to purpose. That choice positioned her in the lineage of kings. Her destiny was not an accident. It was not luck. It was a choice. Look at modern history. Martin Luther King Jr. was an ordinary man, a preacher with a vision of equality. He could have chosen silence. He could have chosen safety. He could have chosen the comfort of staying out of conflict. But instead, he chose courage. He chose to speak, to march, to dream out loud. And because of his choice, generations walk in greater freedom today. His destiny was not determined by chance. It was carved by choice. Many of us wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect timing, the perfect resources, as though destiny is something that just arrives on our doorstep. But destiny does not come to the passive. It responds to those who make choices with intention. Every great man or woman you admire did not wait for chance. They made choices when it was difficult, when it was costly, when it was unpopular. Your choices are more powerful than your circumstances. You may not have chosen where you were born, the family you came from, or the difficulties you have faced. But you do have the power to choose how you respond. And your response determines your destiny. People can face the same hardship. One chooses bitterness and remains stuck. The other chooses growth and rises stronger. The difference is not chance, but choice. Think about the story of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison. By chance, he should have been forgotten, broken, erased by time. But he made a choice in his heart. He chose forgiveness over hatred, vision over bitterness, unity over division. And because of that choice, when the prison doors opened, he did not come out small. He came out as a leader of a nation. His destiny was shaped not by chance, but by choice. My friends, choices may seem small at the moment, but they carry eternal weight. The choice to learn instead of wasting time, the choice to forgive instead of holding grudges, the choice to believe instead of doubting, the choice to discipline yourself instead of living carelessly. These choices accumulate, and together they build the foundation of your future. You are one choice away from a different destiny. One decision can redirect your entire life. One choice can break cycles of failure. One choice can open doors that generations before you never walked through. Do not underestimate the power of a single choice made with clarity and focus. Destiny is not a matter of chance, but it is not automatic either. It requires alignment with vision. It requires taking responsibility for where you are and where you want to go. It requires saying, I will not drift. I will not wait for luck. I will not leave my future to chance. I will choose wisely. I will choose boldly. I will choose purpose. The law of choice is the law of destiny. Every day you are making deposits into your future with the choices you make. What you eat, what you read, who you listen to, what you give your time to. These are not random moments. They are bricks being laid on the path of your destiny. My friends, we have walked together through a truth that is both simple and life. Changing your mind, your focus, your choices are the architects of your destiny. We have seen that whatever captures your attention will shape your future. We have learned that ordinary people become extraordinary through disciplined focus. We have discovered that focus does not ignore challenges, it conquers them. We have seen that what you magnify with your focus, you will multiply in your life. And above all, We have embraced that your destiny is not determined by chance, but by choice. This is not just theory, this is life. Look around you, every building you see, every invention you use, every freedom you enjoy, every breakthrough you celebrate began in the mind of someone who chose to focus, someone who decided not to be distracted, not to be defeated, not to be defined by their past, but to shape their future through discipline and vision. And now, the same call comes to you. You are not here by accident, you are not alive by mistake. There is greatness within you that is waiting for focus, waiting for discipline, waiting for the courage to choose. You cannot change your past, but you can choose your future. You cannot erase challenges, but you can conquer them with focus. You cannot control chance, but you can govern your choices. So rise above the noise. Lift your eyes above the distractions. Guard your attention, discipline your focus, magnify the vision, and make the choices that align with your destiny. For the truth is this: the future is not waiting for someone else. It is waiting for you.